Perfect. Okay. So do we want to add anything? Let me screen share for you guys what I put in about Dylan. Tell me if you want to add or change anything.
Um,
So I'm gonna figure out how to separate this so we know what kid is being talked about in each one at the end. But for now, I'm just kind of typing them all in there.
for Dylan, I don't know if there's anything we really need to know at this point.
Yeah.
I mean,
Okay.
he's obviously one of the favorites of
Mm-hmm.
Doctor, or I'm sorry, of Mr. Jones.
Yeah, I like for Dylan, it's just he knows him.
Yeah.
He knows him.
They
Yeah.
have some sort of personal relationship. So,
Okay.
all right.
So
Should
let's
we move
go
on
with
to Bill?
Bill. I'll go ahead. Is it my turn to read?
Sure.
Okay, so Bill, the American of European ancestry, Bill is known what Bill is what you would call a military brat. He has been to 5 different schools since kindergarten and has lived in 4 different countries, including Germany, Crete, Spain, and Puerto Rico. It's amazing the trivia facts he comes up with. He is very social and makes friends easily. Other teachers refer to him as outgoing. He is very neat and tidy in appearance, and his conversation before class, he told me he plans to become a Navy SEAL. He mentioned he likes camping and hunting and enjoys working on cars. Oh, he is also on the swim team.
Okay. Seems like another personal relationship. Like he's had more
Yeah,
to get to know.
but that's more like a like a biography of him. That's not really
Yeah.
Yeah,
like
he doesn't
personal
mention
based.
anything about school.
Yeah.
Like I don't know
Oh,
who he is.
yeah,
If he's a good student, if he, he struggles with anything.
yeah. So I mean, he's a military brat, which means he's just in a military family. I mean, so
Mm-hmm.
they travel.
Yeah.
He's
Seems like
a
an
teacher,
interesting,
obviously. Hmm.
but I mean, yeah.
Yeah. Is there anything you guys want to put under the no side? I added under need to know how does Bill act and perform in class because didn't really tell us that.
I think for
So
He does.
oh, sorry.
He does say other teachers refer to him as outgoing. So why wouldn't Mr. Jones refer to him as that if that's one of his students?
It's funny because the outgoing's in quotations, so I wonder if it's like, oh, he's an outgoing kid, or it's kind of like when a nice way to say, oh, he's talkative, like
yeah, that's
Yeah,
what I was
okay.
thinking.
So like the
Because
whole
he also says,
quotations.
Yeah.
yeah, he also says he's very social and makes friends easily. So that makes me think he's probably a pretty talkative kid in class. Not
Okay.
necessarily a bad thing, but
I think what we know
Or
about oh sorry. What we know about Bill is that Mr. Jones has a personal relationship with him, I guess.
okay.
or maybe it's not so much of a personal relationship, but it's because Bill is such a talkative person, the teacher understands what he's saying or hears what he's saying because the information that is given to us is, oh, before class, he told me this before, other teachers have told me this before.
That's true, yeah. He could, just because he talks so much that's how they know about him.
He
So
has trivia facts. I mean, that's more of just, you know,
he's like just talking to talk, kind of.
Yeah.
he's talking the talk, yes.
Oh yeah, I know a couple people like that.
Yeah.
Which is fine. I mean, as long as you're not disrupting it,
Mhm.
it's
Yeah,
better than being quiet. I mean,
and see the thing is too with the outgoing and quotations, I wonder. Um, I wonder if it's viewed in a different light. Like maybe he is talking in class because if other teachers are calling him outgoing, I wonder if it's a nice way to say talkative. It does seem if he's like a talkative kid, how it's kind of different when he talks versus like when Marta's talking.
Mhm.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
But it doesn't necessarily say how he is in his class, so we don't really.
Yeah, it's all like what other teachers have told him or whatever.
So,
yes.
Okay.
But we don't know if Mr. Jones likes Bill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways, that's all the information we have on him.
Yeah. All right. Should we move on to Gina?
Yeah, I can do Gina.
Okay.
Gina, American of African ancestry. Gina comes from a single parent home. Her mother works as a bartender, so she's often gone in the evenings. Gina has two older sisters, one 20, Kara, and one 23 years old, Denise. Kara is going to beauty school and wants to be an esthetician hairstylist. Gina says this is what she wants to do too after she finishes high school, or else be a massage therapist. But she is a solid student. She gets mostly B grades. I'm not sure why she doesn't plan to go to college. Her scholarship also surprises me as she doesn't look the part of a good student. She has an attitude, always a little in your face, even with me. She dresses and acts rather provocatively for a middle school student. She flirts with Dylan a lot. She wears gauzy see-through blouses and very obviously spends a lot of time on her makeup and clothes. Gina is the only girl in our class who is black. So when I read this one, this is the one where I was kind of like,
A little racist here.
that's the only way I can describe it, because there's just
And it's also just like the talking about like how she's dressed is weird too. Like,
yeah,
Wow, yeah, that's
this
strange.
whole thing is just very odd. This is a very odd description because again, it doesn't really talk much about her as a student besides she gets mostly B's. I'm not sure why she doesn't plan to go to college.
and I just thought, like, when I was reading it, I don't know how to describe it. I just like the first sentence. You know, she comes from a single parent household. Like her mom's, a single mom.
Mm-hmm.
None of the other kids are described that way.
Yeah.
Like, and I know, like when you're talking about school and how your kids react and how their parents are and stuff, it does make a difference. But at the same time, why would you lead with that?
Yeah.
I think Mr. Jones is trying to put the perception of what he's he's trying to paint a picture by starting off with the mom's gone, she's a bartender, she's home a lot by herself.
But it doesn't necessarily, like, the way I saw it is she's not, like, despite of her mom being alone and stuff, she seems to be doing pretty well. She's doing well in class, So I just, like, I can see it if maybe, like, she was failing in class and has an attitude and stuff like that, then maybe factoring that in, but she seems to be okay. And I also thought it was weird when they talk about her sister wanting to be an esthetician, which is a real thing. Like,
Yeah.
Why it was in quotation marks.
Yeah.
Like, it seemed a little demeaning, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then she says when he's talking about like it surprised him that like she wants to do this too because she gets good grades. Like, just like not everyone has to go to college. There are other jobs that don't require you to go to college. You know what I mean? And the whole like she doesn't look the part of a good student.
Yeah.
Is it supposed to look like a nerd? Like that's all I can think about is like is he expecting like a kid in like a button-down shirt with some pens in his pocket and some glasses to be like a good student because that's like a nerdy look. You know what I mean? Like that's just weird.
Yeah, I just the whole thing I thought was
this whole thing makes me so uncomfortable.
This is a strange one to talk about. I'm not sure how to go about it.
Yeah.
So what do we know?
I mean, we know.
Mr. Jones is very bad at describing kids.
Yes, he's very he's judgmental.
And I just thought that's so weird because if I know this is a case study, but as an adult to describe a child like that, like we've been talking about like multiculturalism in like our previous classes and like trying not to let stereotypes and preconceived notions judge how you see a kid, and it seems like this is exactly what happens.
Yeah. This is like throwing it at us to see how we're gonna interpret. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
So what we know is, what's her name?
Gina
is a good student who has an attitude.
With an attitude problem.
Has an attitude.
She wants to go to beauty school.
And like this is
Oh,
the one where I was talking about. Dylan likes girls, but Gina flirts with Dylan, and it's
Yeah.
just the way it's. You know what I'm saying? Like,
like a double standard almost.
yeah, it seems like a
I can see that. Like, oh, Dylan's having a good time. He's, flirting in class. Good for him. But Gina,
But like, oh, that girl, she likes boys. So shame on her. It's
yeah.
yeah,
very,
it's a little,
very
it's
double
definitely a little
standard.
very double standard.
So we have layers. It's a little bit racist, a little bit sexist.
Yes. So
How
I'm
how would
gonna
you
throw
say it's a
those
little
quotation
racist?
marks in there.
Oh, because it says Gina's the only black girl in the classroom.
Oh yeah. Well, no, it wasn't just because she says that. It's just to me, it seems the way he describes his white students is very different than how he describes his students of color. Like,
Isn't Mr. Jones of African American?
but the thing, I mean, like, I don't know. It doesn't say. It could be a stock photo. It could be him. If we're assuming it is him, um, there is internalized racism.
Yeah.
For sure.
So I mean, he could totally be a black teacher, but just
I see what you're saying. Yes.
So yeah, I don't know. It just seems a little bit weird.
It's the wow factor. I mean, this is definitely Gina's going to be the outlier of the classroom, and
Yeah.
Crazy. Well,
okay.
all right. What do we need to know about Gina? So I put that we know that she's a good student who has an attitude, wants to go to beauty school or massage school, and dresses provocatively and flirts with boys in class.
I would like to know, like, I kind of want to know like how he reacts to Gina. You know?
Yes. Or how does he like interact with her at all?
Yeah, because and I'm not saying Gina's right for doing this because he says she has an attitude sometimes and is a little in your face, but the way he's describing her, like, doesn't seem like. I guess he like kind of like maybe he's not completely respectful towards her. I don't know, like.
Yeah. The way he describes her seems like he doesn't have any respect for her.
Yeah,
Kind of.
it's kind of a weird description. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know how to describe it.
Okay. Yeah.
All right. I think we can move on from her now.
I think so too.
Okay.
All right. Is this me?
Sure.
All right. Roxana, is that how you think it would be said?
Yeah.
Roxana, Iraqi national working on American citizenship. Roxana is a dark-complected girl, rather quiet, neat, and polite. She has good attendance and always turns in her homework. She seems to attend my lectures in class. Unfortunately, her work is often not correct. She is earning about a low C or a high D. I talked with her mother, and she said that she was very concerned and would try to help Roxana, but that she herself had not finished high school and did not know algebra. The girl seems to have one of those creative spellings of her name. Shouldn't it be Roxanne or Roxana? Some families. Oh, jeez.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my god.
That's what I was talking about.
Okay, this one's definitely a little bit more racist. This is some family. Oh my god.
Like, she clearly has an ethnic name.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think it's supposed to be like a creative spelling of like Roxana. I think
No.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Wow. This is Mr. Jones.
Let's do a quick.
Jeez,
Yeah,
Louise.
we'll breathe over this one.
Well, okay, so we know that she has good attendance and
she's very polite and
yeah, it looks like she pays attention in class, but she's just not understanding.
Yeah. And we know that Mr. Jones knows nothing personal about this particular student.
Yeah.
Is she in sports? Does she have friends? Is she talkative? I mean, we all know about Dylan. He likes to smile and create a fun environment, but how is he explaining Roxanne?
Yeah, I mean, it's,
Hmm.
I don't know. And the first thing he describes her, she's a dark complected girl.
That's, yeah, like, that has nothing to do with, like, here, I'm going to tell you about why I'm having trouble with my students, and I'm going to describe, like, that has nothing to do with her academic
And see,
ability.
like, to me, like, the psychologist aspect of my brain is like, is this something, is this the reason why you're having trouble with her? Is it like you see a child who isn't white and you automatically like, oh, how do I deal with you? Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, it's kind of like, it reminds me of like a Freudian slip, you know?
Yeah.
Like, is that?
It's very
Did he?
surface level the way he's looking at these kids, because he's not looking about like their potential or what could possibly be like happening that's like affecting their abilities. He's only focusing on what they look like or like where
Yeah,
they're from and stuff like that.
and I'm not sure. Like on Gina and Roxanne, he has to throw in there, like you were saying, Gina's the only black girl in the class. Roxanne's a dark complected girl. Does he say anything about Dylan, or does he say anything about even Ray?
Well, I mean,
About
before each person or after each person's name, he describes like Ray was a Mexican national.
Mm-hmm.
So, but he doesn't necessarily. Well, I guess Mexican national, that it does describe his race, but he doesn't say anything about his race like how he does with the girls. And see, even like this is why I kind of felt like maybe a little bit of sexism too, because I think even if you throw Ray in with Dylan and um
was it Bill?
yeah, Bill, their not reviews, their descriptions are like, even Ray's isn't that bad, but the girls, it seems like he's harsher.
Yeah.
On the girls, like
Mm-hmm.
there's less positive, I guess.
I agree. Yeah.
Yeah, and that could just be another thing where, like we said with Dylan, how like he related to Dylan, like
He
he
really
related to the boys in class because he is also a boy.
Yeah.
So maybe that's it. I don't know.
Yeah, but outside the negativity of like the personal attacks, we do know that Roxanne is a C or D student, so that could be an issue with with personality during class lectures.
Yeah, but it says she's rather quiet, neat, and polite.
Mm-hmm.
So
That's
I
true.
she could she's paying attention. She's at class. Maybe she just doesn't understand. But it does say like her mother didn't finish high school and didn't take algebra.
Is
So
there a language barrier because she's working on getting her American citizenship?
it doesn't say, but because he talked to her mom, I'm gonna assume maybe she speaks more English. He actually contacted the parent. And see,
But maybe, I don't know.
and this one, it says he did talk to her mom, but it seems like with Ray and Marta and stuff, it doesn't say that he ever tried to talk to parents. And if I'm having trouble with a student, I want to talk to a parent,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And these are also supposed to be students he's having difficulties with, right? And like Dylan and Bill, I don't see what's difficult about them, like, because he didn't describe anything like, oh,
Yeah.
like Bill is having trouble staying on task or something like that.
Yeah, true. He just says, "Oh, Bill wants to be a Navy SEAL. He's on the swim team."
Yeah, but
He's
the other
re-
kids, clearly there's stuff wrong, I guess.
Yeah.
But even Gina, she's a good student. She has an attitude. Maybe that's what's difficult about her. But she's learning, so she's not a C or D kid.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So, do we want to know that if she has a language barrier?
I like to know that only because she's, an Iraqi national working on
Yeah.
getting an American citizen. Because one of my good friends from college, he was an Iraqi national, and he was trying to get his American citizenship. And although he knew really good English, he was in the same program as me. There was definitely a language barrier when we were in large groups studying together. I mean, so I can only imagine at a younger age. Is this the 7th and 8th grade class you were saying, mister Jones?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It might, the communication skills may not be there outside language barrier or not.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, in the when he talked about the demographics of the little school district,
Yeah.
the other, which what Roxana would be under, was very little. So I'm guessing like there's a lot of Hispanic kids, there's a lot of white kids and stuff like that, but there might not be a lot of Iraqi kids. So she might not have anybody like her.
Yeah.
True.
Well,
Yeah.
and the education system is probably different. Obviously, like no matter where you go, different countries are always going to have different educational systems. So maybe.
So she's going to fall into the 3% other category of the of the demographics of the classroom.
Yeah, she might not even like know the foundational math behind the things that she's learning in class. You never know.
Yeah.
And that could be her problem.
And depending on wherever what education she got, there could be a huge gap. Like if she came maybe like last year to the country, what, if you don't know what she was doing over there, like school wise, I mean, there could be a huge, she could be like second grade level in an algebra class,
Yeah. And like I guess something I would want to know is like, did they give her any kind of like placement tests? Because I mean, especially if you're coming to a new school, like they can't just be like, oh, you're coming to our high school to go take math. We're just going to throw you in statistics. You know what I mean? Like they need to have some sort of like test or assessment to figure out what would best suit them. So maybe did they assess her when she came to the new school?
I kind of would like to know that for all the kids. What did they take a diagnostic test? Did they?
Yeah.
What's their baseline? Because they're in algebra. This is their first time taking algebra. So I'm assuming maybe that they all passed pre-algebra.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
This is the first 8 weeks. So if this is the first time they're taking algebra, they must have passed like pre-algebra. And I wonder, like, were they like at a grade level for like standard at algebra when they first took like a diagnostic test, and then did they go down, or were they already like C students? You know what I mean? Because that makes a difference. If you have a C student and you move them up, they're probably going to struggle, and that means that's something that's just that could just be how they are, or if they have like a disability or something, that's one thing. But I wonder if they were like maybe they were higher students and then they're with Mr. Jones and they've declined,
Yeah. So what I put on the need to know, is I just put, were there any diagnostic tests given to students before being placed into this algebra class? And were students performing lower from the beginning, or did they regress in their abilities?
That's perfect.
That's good.
Okay.
Cool.
Is there anything else we need to know about Roxana?
I think that's okay.
Okay.
And I can go ahead and finish off with Stephen, the American of European ancestry. Stephen is very intelligent, gifted. He is amazing because he has a little control over his body, limited use of his extremities, and was diagnosed with cerebral palsy as a baby. He does use an electric wheelchair for mobility. He also uses an eye tracker device to select letters, images, and symbols on a communication board, and this allows him to write, and it can translate what he writes via a voice synthesizer into speech. This is amazing. I've never seen anything like it. Have you? Stephen has very limited natural speech, and what speech he has is difficult to understand to those unfamiliar with him. He relies on iProvider for self-help and for self-care issues, including toileting, bathing, dressing, and eating. Thank goodness he has a paraprofessional who accompanies him to class. What would I do if I weren't there? Or what would I do if she weren't there? I remember this from the IEP meeting last spring when they told me he would be in my algebra class. Steven seems to learn the lesson I teach faster than anybody else in the class. I lecture and demonstrate how to solve problems on a whiteboard. I don't know how he does it, but that part of his brain learns math obviously is not impaired. So I just go on teaching as I always do. He emails his work to me. I haven't talked with his special education teacher yet, just a paraprofessional. Whew.
Okay.
Okay.
This is this is interesting.
Yeah, this one's kind of to me, like surface level, it seems like a really positive I keep wanting to say review. It's not a review of student. A positive description of him.
Mm-hmm.
But when I read it out loud to my husband, who works in special ed, he pointed out there's a lot of like underlying negative stuff, like when he says, "Thank goodness he has a paraprofessional," or "Thank goodness he has a paraprofessional who accompanies him to class. What would I do if she weren't there?" Like, it almost kind of, to me, it sounds like,
oh, I wouldn't want to deal with him on my own.
yeah, like, and
That's how it comes across to me.
Yeah,
like,
but at the same time, I mean, he can't focus too much attention on one student, too. I mean,
Yeah,
if you put it in
that's true. Yeah,
perspective.
it's just, I guess, like the tone and
Okay.
like when he says, like, I don't know how he does it, this part of his brain that learns math obviously is not impaired. That just seems to me like there's a better way to phrase that.
Yeah. Instead of being like the math part of his brain is very strong, he's like saying like, oh, well, at least that part's not impaired.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I don't know.
It's a weird way of wording it. It is very weird.
I mean, as far as the student himself, I think Mr. Jones is speaking highly of him. I think Mr. Jones thinks he's a good student. I mean, he does his work. He listens. I mean, he doesn't necessarily participate, but I mean, he's involved
Yeah.
one way or another because of his condition.
Yeah.
So what I thought too was kind of weird about this is that this is his list of difficult students, and I understand that he has Stephen has cerebral palsy, but he also says that he just goes on teaching as he always does. So I don't see how Stephen is causing him any difficulties at that point.
True.
Yeah.
Because if you're teaching like normal and he's doing well, I mean, he's a great student.
Yeah.
Why is he the difficulty? And I thought it was weird because he had an IEP saying that Stephen would be in his class, but he still hasn't talked to his special education teacher yet. That's
very interesting because you would think if you read over the IEP, especially in the meetings, that he would already spoke to all the teachers that would be involved with Stephen.
Yeah, I mean, it seems to me like that's just what you would do. Like, okay, I want to see how he is with his teacher, talk to the teacher about tips and stuff like that. And
for sure. Do we think that Mr. Jones thinks this guy might be a trouble for my class? Thank God someone's here to help him out.
I kind of feel that way.
Yeah.
I mean, like, because we know Mr. Jones from the other people. I mean, why is Stephen any different, right?
It seems like Mr. Jones. I kind of feel bad, or making him like a bad guy, but it seems like he judges his students based on how much work.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense? Like,
no, it does.
He's like, he likes the kids that don't cause him any extra stress or effort.
Yeah, and see, to me, Stephen, I mean, he doesn't teach any differently, but because it's like just because he has cerebral palsy, he's in this difficult list,
Yeah.
I just thought that was weird. Like, I don't know. I mean, we know a lot about Stephen, but we really don't know. I guess, like, we don't know what Mr. Jones does to necessarily help him out, because he says he just teaches as normal. But he's not to his teacher or anything like that. Just to his
Mr. Jones doesn't cater to his students is basically what the situation is, because he wants the easiest students possible, and he doesn't want any difficulty. He doesn't want to have to go out of his way to help anybody else.
Yeah.
It's like
yeah.
I think that's like the initial thoughts.
Yeah. Well, do you want to add anything for the know or need to know on him, and then we can move on to the initial thoughts for all of them?
Sure. Go ahead.
What do we want to write for need to know? What do we have for need to know?
I didn't put anything down for him so far. This is what I have overall for all of them.
We need to know why he's not in communication with the other with the other teachers involved with the IEP.
Yeah. Because that just seems like basics. Like, if you had an IEP, you should meet with that teacher.
Yeah.
And as for Steve and what we know about him, I know he's a good student, I guess.
Yeah. Okay.
We've got a lot done.
Yeah, I think that's enough to to create a little table. Do you think this is a good format to how we should send it to the professor?
I think so, because here, you can still see my screen, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Because this is what he has posted. Because I know Jackson was telling me that he doesn't have 1.2 or 1.4 posted on his account.
Yeah, I definitely do not have that.
Yeah, so it just says, like, at the end you'll find the assignment, follow the directions to prepare a paper, 1 to 2 pages, a title page, which I already did. I haven't finished it yet, but I will. And then the table, like this.
Yeah, because I accidentally started this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I formatted it just like that, just exactly what you're doing. That's what I did. Except we have like all the collaboration.
Perfect.
But when I tried, because I didn't think until I was actually going to submit it. Like, I almost submitted it for us, guys.
Mm-hmm.
And the only reason why I noticed is it was like, it said something about for the group, and it was like red. And so I was like, whoa, I should have paid attention. So I didn't submit it, but I know his email talked about the 1.2 and the 1.4, that it is this is for our group session. Mm-hmm. So I wondered if maybe like that was also because people didn't get it then, because I didn't know you didn't see that.
Yeah. So okay, just to clarify, the 1.4 is that the recording?
Yeah.
And okay, and this is the 1.2. Okay, mm-hmm. Cool. So the recording, obviously, we're gonna convert it to send it over to him, and all right.
Then what appears? Do you just see 1.3?
Let me see in 1 second.
Because I mean, we're all supposed to take turns submitting.
I'm obviously going to write him or try to ask him during Tuesday during our lecture meeting. Mm-hmm. But so on my page, when I go to week 1, and I'm using Firefox too. So this is what I've been using since I've been going through this class. I got everything dialed in on Firefox. So like everything works perfect. The videos, there's no downloading. I have the class reading packet, the 606. I have all the videos. That's how I did my Blackboard. Okay, here we go. So I have the video reflection. I have the 1.0, the week 1 collaborative worksheet if I missed the recording or missed the live session. I have 1.1, the discussions from the videos further up. And then it jumps to 1.3. So there's a 1.2 missing.
Oh.
So I just went straight to the assignment. And then right under that is the key APA data. And that's it.
Oh. Well, then, yeah, we're going to need to get it fixed. Well, I hope he can fix it because we all have to submit. Like, so Megan's going to do it for us this week. Mm-hmm. And then, like, it has to be, I don't know, like me or you the next week.
I'm not too concerned. Like I said, I'm gonna bring. I mean, like I said, we're paying a lot of money to be in this class. I just want to make sure I have all the foundations there because I do not want to miss any assignment, especially if it's beyond just our group stuff.
Yeah.
Because we have to submit everything to pass the class, and I typically like to get all my work done, so I don't want to have to deal with a situation that's out of my control that I could have fixed.
Yeah.
with email.
Of course.
Yeah. So. Okay. Is there anything that you think we should add since, I know you worked on this before for the
Well, for personally, for the initial thoughts, like I just did a lump sum, not like I didn't break it down.
Oh, okay. You want to just do all together? We can do that. That's fine.
Yeah, because to me, I think what are my initial thoughts kind of were like he hasn't taken the time to really get to know his class at all. Like
I agree.
It's like picking and choosing because, and I don't even know like why some of the kids are on the difficult list, you know?
Yes.
And if he has this many students that are, what did he say? Like 40% had D's or F's and stuff like that. I mean, that's a lot.
That's a reflection on him.
That's a big reflection on him. And I mean, if he doesn't have a relationship with his class, I kind of wonder, like, too, based on what we were reading about how he describes his kids, if maybe he acts like how he describes them, because that would turn me off as a student. Like, I wouldn't tune in if somebody was like that.
I would also be curious to ask. One second.
Okay.
Thank you. I'd also be curious to ask if he has any children, because we all know the 7th and 8th grade level is between 12 and 14 years old. Maybe he doesn't know how to relate to these kids as much as he originally thought.
The difficult age.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just the hormones.
Of course. Yeah. Oh, yeah. He's talking to girls. He has facial hair. That's super irrelevant to how kids performing in class.
Yeah.
Okay. I just started writing a couple things down while you guys were talking.
Perfect.
What we were saying. So, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. It seems like he definitely has. I'm going to add this right now. I'm readjusting my sitting position here. He seems to have certain biases about specific students against.
When you were mentioning it earlier, that on the demographics, so almost 50% is Hispanic. I mean, it's 46, but
we have less than a minute. Should we stop recording and record again?
Let's just try to finish.
Maybe we can just finish up the recording right now, and then we'll submit the 2 recordings we have, and then we can just come together again, one more Zoom meeting to finish this.
Sure.
That sound good to you guys?
Yeah.
Okay. So we'll just end it now, and then restart a Zoom to finish this.
Okay.
And then we're good.
Okay.
Perfect.
Okay.
Okay.